Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am so excited to jump into this because today we're on a mission. Our objective? To decode some of the absolute most intimidating vocabulary out there. And we're going to do it using a single, incredibly simple root word. If you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by those massive, multi-syllable terms in your textbooks or in the news, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to break it all down, step by step.
So, tell me if this sounds familiar. Have you ever been completely stumped by one of those giant science words? You know the ones I'm talking about. The words that take up half a line on the page and just look like a total jumble of letters. Well, what if I told you there's basically a magic decoder ring for your vocabulary? It's like a master key. Once you learn it, it instantly unlocks the meaning of literally hundreds of complex terms without you having to memorize the whole dictionary. Sounds pretty great, right?
Section 1. Meet the root. Bio. Okay, let's just dive right into it. It's time to meet our first clue. This single little root word appears absolutely everywhere. You're going to find it in science, in nature, and even in stories about people's lives. It's short, it's punchy, and it forms the bedrock of so much of the English language. Allow me to introduce you to bio. It comes straight from the ancient Greek word bios, which quite simply means life, or the way something lives. So picture a friendly owl pointing right at this central rule. Bio equals life. That is your root formula. That's your master key right there. Whenever you see those three letters grouped together, I want alarms to go off in your head shouting, life!
Let's see how this builds with just a few easy examples. Knowing that one tiny root instantly unlocks all these other words. Take biology. Well, ology means the study of, right? So that's simply a class where you study living things. Or a biography. That's a book that tells the story of a person's life. What about a biologist? That's the actual scientist who studies those plants, animals, or people. And think about a leaf falling from a tree. We call that leaf biodegradable because it's able to break down naturally in nature. Finally, the biosphere. That is just the specific part of our Earth where life actually exists. See how quickly this secret code starts working?
I want to plant a really simple, rhythmic memory cue in your mind right now. Just repeat this with me in your head. Bio means life. That's it. Whenever you're reading and you stumble on this specific sequence of letters, immediately think of living, breathing, growing things.
Section 2. The ancient Greek story. To really understand how this word got so incredibly powerful, we have to trace its journey back in time. We start way back in the ancient era. Picture Greek philosophers writing bios on their scrolls to talk about living, life itself, and the very way a creature existed. Then, as we move into the Middle Ages, Latin scholars translated those ancient scrolls and borrowed the concept for their early science texts. And finally, that brings us to the modern day, where English has just wholly adopted it. Those ancient Greek ideas have traveled across centuries, straight into the science and school words sitting in your notebook right this second.
So the really crucial point here is how flexibly this ancient root applies today. Let's compare a couple of modern words born from this exact history. On one hand, we have biological, which relates directly to specific life or living things, like your biological family or biological functions. But on the other hand, we have biome, which scales way, way up to describe a massive natural area, like a giant rainforest or a sprawling desert, defined by the certain plants and animals that live there. From the microscopic all the way to the massive, that life clue is always there.
And that brings us to our second memory cue. Bio is the life clue. Think of it almost like a glowing footprint. If you spot it in some mystery word out in the wild, you should instantly ask yourself, okay, is this word about living things? Is it about a life story? Or is it connected to life somehow? If the answer is yes, well, you've just cracked the case.
Section 3. The Garden of Life.
To really lock this in, I want you to imagine a beautifully sunlit garden, just completely teeming with life. Now, think about how all these diverse words connect straight back to that organic, vibrant garden. A biography is writing about a life, like a book about a famous person. Biodegradable means it's able to return to nature, just like a fallen leaf breaking down in our garden soil. Biofuel is actual usable energy derived from living material, like plants. And biotechnology? That's using those living things in modern medical science and tech. Every single one of these terms points right back to that exact same sunlit garden.
So here is our third memory cue, and this cements everything we've covered so far. It is the simplest, punchiest equation you will ever learn for English vocabulary. BIO equals life. It really truly is that straightforward.
Section 4. The Bio Word Tree.
Now, words are actually a lot like the plants in our garden. The roots really like to grow and branch out over time.
So think of bio as the sturdy trunk of our vocabulary tree. It can actually take on slightly different shapes and prefixes depending on the branches it's growing. Sometimes it's just bio. Sometimes you'll see it represented as bi/o, especially in medical terminology. And sometimes it acts as a prefix with a hyphen, like bio. But here's the thing, no matter the exact shape it takes, the underlying DNA of the word remains exactly the same.
These linguistic pieces snap together almost exactly like Lego blocks. Let's actually build a word step by step to see this in action. First, we start with our sturdy trunk, bio, meaning life. Next, we add the branch, logist, which just means a person who studies something. Finally, we snap them together, combine them, and what do you get? Biologist, a person who studies life. It's mathematically precise.
Let's take it a step further and create an even bigger, more complex word. We'll do it step by step again. Start with bio, for life. Then add degrade, which means to break down. Then add the suffix able, which means it has the ability to do it. Combine all three pieces and we get biodegradable, which literally means it has the ability to break down naturally in the living world. This just goes to show that no matter how incredibly long the word gets, our life clue formula works flawlessly every single time.
And that leads us right to our next memory cue. Bio can hide in big words. Sometimes it isn't just sitting right at the front of the word waiting to wave hello. Sometimes it's cleverly disguised, tucked away where you might not immediately spot it if you aren't paying super close attention.
Section 5. Hiding in plain sight. For this next part, I want you to channel your inner detective dog. Grab your magnifying glass and start hunting down clues. Listen to this list of massive scientific heavyweights. Normally, these words might make you sweat a bit on an exam, but let's strip away that fear by finding our hidden clue. Autobiography. That's your own life story. Biochemistry. The chemistry of living things. Biomechanics. Symbiosis, which means living together. Antibiotic, meaning against bacteria life. Microbiology, the study of tiny life. And bioluminescence, which are living things that literally make their own light. Do you see it now? Once you find that hidden bio inside each one, they aren't scary at all. They are entirely accessible.
And this brings us to a fundamental truth. Whether it's right at the start, buried deep in the middle, or capping off the very end, our magic decoder ring always works. Even when bio is hidden by prefixes or tucked behind other Greek roots, it still resolutely means life.
So, lock this in for our final empowering memory cue of this explainer. Hidden or not, bio still means life. You're no longer at the mercy of complex vocabulary. You have the master key.
I want to leave you with this final, exciting thought today. The next time you're reading an article, or studying for a test, or just going about your day, and you encounter a giant, imposing science word, are you going to freeze, or are you going to grab your magnifying glass and spot the life clue hiding inside? I think we both know you're ready to unlock it. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes open for those hidden clues and never stop learning.